Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the Vicki BOUTIN design team, and this week I'm going to use one of her new cut files. It's called Joy, and it has like a string of light bulbs hanging of the word joy, and I really love it. What I did is I just kind of copied just the light bulb part of it, the little string, so that I can extend it and fit the entire page, the width of my layout. So you're going to see right now, I'm going to show you what I did. I cut it twice. I cut it in a small version, so I'm going to add that to my December album, but I cut the big version for my layout. And my idea is I want to create a background sort of like it's illuminated and then have little flashes of lights of different colors behind the little light bulbs. So you're gonna see that I cut all of these out of the foundation paper, and this time I tried a different setting. I went with cover stock, the cover stock setting, and I slowed down the blade. I moved the blade, I think it was to 7, and I slowed down the pass, like one single pass, but I made it really slow, and it cut really nicely actually, which I really like. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just gonna set up the idea that I have in mind. Like I said, I want to have I'm gonna use gold, that kind of like yellowish tone, to bring the illumination to the background, and then add flashes of color. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna kind of mark with my pencil where the joy and the string of the joy is sitting, so I know where I'm gonna add my my mixed media. And I'm gonna add yeso because I'm gonna add quite a bit of water, not lots of water, but I want to make sure that the colors kind of just work on its own, so the water kind of slides on the paper. So I'm gonna apply it using a brayer. You're gonna see that I add a little bit of the yeso with Vicki's palette knife, and then just kind of spread it with my brayer. I just want a thin coat, and I'm not covering the entire page, just kind of a horizontal rectangle right on the center of the page. I'm gonna make sure that on the left is a little bit higher. Think of a triangle kind of situation, just because I want to make sure that I have a little bit of yeso coverage behind the picture. And I'm gonna set that aside to dry, and I'm gonna start working on mixed media. And this is gonna be really simple mixed media, but it's gonna take you a while if you want to create this. I'm gonna start with this crayon, and this crayon comes from, if I'm not mistaken, the neutral set, and it's one that looks like it's yellowish, kind of golden tone, and I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of white crayon, and that's just gonna give me a soft yellow kind of goldish tone that I'm gonna use on the background where I added my yeso. Like I said, I thought about illumination, and most of the trees, even though you use color lights, always have that kind of glow on the back. So that's what I'm looking for, and that's gonna give me, that is what this color combination is gonna give me. And you're gonna see that I'm gonna dilute it quite a bit. It's gonna be a really soft application, and one of the reasons why I added yeso is because when I splatter the paint, in this case, or the pigment on the foundation paper, remember I had a yeso, it kind of spreads on its own, and it's gonna save me the time of going with, like, you know, the spreading it with the brush. So all I'm doing is, you're gonna see that I add a little bit of pigment, I'm gonna add water on top of it, and it kind of just moves on its own, but it is gonna take me some time. Again, if you've seen my projects, and you guys know that I work a lot with splatters, it's an easy way for me to create watercolor. I love the look of it, but you're gonna see it did take me a while, because like I said, I'm not using my brush to spread it. All I'm doing is adding a little bit of water, a splash of water, and then adding the pigment on top, and it kind of like the water, I'm gonna say the pigment kind of just moves with the water, it kind of spreads on the paper, and that's the look that I want. And I wanted something really organic, and you're gonna see that I lift the paper just to help the paint move, and then I'm really gonna like move it around also, like I switch the position just to help me add the paint. I'm gonna make sure that when I add the pigment, I have enough of it covering the back where the picture is gonna sit, so it kind of there's that illumination behind the picture. And I'm gonna set it aside to dry completely before I continue working. Now, to create my light bulbs, I'm gonna start by creating the little socket. Is that what you call it, I think, for each one of the light bulbs. And for this, I'm going to use the silver iridescent glaze, and this is just a piece of cardstock that I had left over, regular cardstock, nothing special. And all I'm going to do is going to spread a thin bit of the iridescent glaze. I just want a thin application. I wanted to have a little bit of that tinge of silver, but not to be like dark, because I wanna cut it and kind of have that little silver shine coming behind the little socket of each one of the light bulbs. So once I apply my little bit of silver iridescent glaze, I'm gonna set it aside to dry, and I'm gonna start working on the light bulbs. And for the light bulbs, I'm actually gonna use the wings of the butterflies from the specialty paper. I'm using this because it has like a little tiny little holographic light that goes through each of the wings. One, I want to use that. Second, because I love vellum, I want the softness of the vellum to come through. And because if you look at the paper, there are some butterflies at the edges that the wings are cut off, and I don't want to waste it, so I'm going to use it. And you're going to see how easy this is gonna get together. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of glue behind the outline of the light bulb, not the whole thing, just the part of the light bulb, and I'm gonna put it on the wings of the butterflies. Like I said, when you look at the paper at the edges, there's some butterflies that are cut off, so I'm gonna use those to back the little light bulb part of the light bulb, the glass part in this case. And then I'm gonna use the silver iridescent paper that I created to kind of back the little socket part of it. And I'm gonna create light bulbs from the different butterflies of the edges of the paper. You're gonna see, so I'm gonna get some blue ones, a little bit of teal, there's some red ones, there's a pinkish one, there's one that has a little bit of green. I just went through pretty much the entire paper. I usually don't throw pieces of paper, especially vellum, because I thought my idea was maybe I can stash the butterfly somehow at the edge and make it look like, you know, I cut it on purpose when I cut my layout. In this case, it's actually I'm using it to back my cut file. And now I'm gonna take it off camera and just continue working, and you're gonna see when I come back how this looks so pretty, because you have that little thin lines of holographic gold running through the light bulb. It looks so pretty. So now that I have that in place, you're gonna see that I'm gonna bring the cut file again just to make sure that I put everything in place. And the picture that I'm gonna use, that's my son. I think it's 3 years ago is when he started building the Christmas tree. I don't build it anymore, I help, but he builds it and my daughter decorates it. They're teenagers now, so it's a little bit different. Dynamics have changed. So all I'm doing is I'm just gonna mark where the light bulbs go. I save the negative part of the cutout just to make sure that I had the same placement of the light bulbs. I'm gonna move one or two just because I don't want it to hide behind the picture. But what I'm gonna do right now is, I don't know if you can see in the camera, I'm gonna put numbers to each one, the positions where the light bulbs are going, and then I'm gonna align them in order above my little piece of paper in the same order that I have number them, so that when I add the next the watercolor, in this case the art crayon, behind the light bulb, I have the same colors that are gonna match. So you're gonna see that to create that little kind of glow behind the light bulb, I'm gonna use art crayons, iridescent glaze, and water. So all I'm doing is I'm just mixing some of the crayons to get to the closest that I can to the color of the vellum, and then I'm just gonna splatter. And my idea is I'm just gonna create a little puddle of color, and I'm gonna splatter around it so that it looks like the glow of the light bulb. So if there's a red light bulb, I'm gonna just add a puddle of that iridescent glaze, and to get that, I'm gonna actually mix, like I said, a little bit of the art crayon, a little bit of the iridescent glaze. I'm gonna dilute it, and you're gonna have like really shimmery paint, and then I'm gonna splatter it. You're gonna see that really I'm gonna splatter it, and then I'm gonna add extra splatters at the edges so that, like I said, it looks like the little glow of the light bulbs, and then kind of like just shimmering into the air. Again, this is my brain talking, my ideas. I love how this turned out. You might not like it. I love how this turned out. I just sometimes have ideas and I want to bring them, and this is one of the ones that actually came out really nice. So I'm going to continue working, and remember how I said I labeled lightly with a pencil the numbers of the where the labels were gonna go, and then I lined them above my page in the same order, so I know where the blues are gonna go, where the teals are gonna go, where the green and the purple are gonna go. So I'm able to work in an orderly manner and know where everything's gonna go, and then I don't have to guess where everything is gonna be positioning. So again, I'm gonna just work with the art crayons and the iridescent glaze. I'm gonna dilute it. Again, like I said, I'm adding just the splatter around, not completely behind, but around the area where the light bulb's gonna go. You're gonna see that even though I try my best to get exactly right behind the light bulb, it's not gonna happen. I wish it would have been exact, but it didn't. It just, some of them moved, and just, you know, sometimes things don't work perfectly like you think they're gonna go. So I'm just gonna continue working. You're gonna see that I add some teal. I'm gonna add a little bit of green just to bring some of that green. There's a greenish kind of yellowish tone in the vellum, in some of the wings of the, I'm gonna say leaves, on the wings of the butterflies. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of green just to bring that, and you're gonna see that I'm actually gonna lift up the paper, kind of move the pigment. Like I said, I'm just working on the splatters for this, and I'm gonna make sure that I add extra splatters around the edges of the puddle of the iridescent paint that I'm using in this case, by just kind of splattering a little bit of the pigment at the edge of the puddle. And then like I said, I'm gonna continue working. I'm actually gonna take it off camera because this didn't take a while. It's just I had to clean the mat every, like, you know, every time I change the color, so it did take a little bit longer than expected. And right about now is when I didn't realize that the battery of the phone, not my phone, sorry, my camera died. So you're not gonna see the last part of me adding the watercolor, so the left hand side. And then when I realized it, I'm gonna bring it and I'm gonna bring a new battery. So you're gonna see again, like I said, you're gonna see it right now. I just add little puddles, nothing in particular about them. The only thing you're gonna realize is there's like a little space of white in the middle, and that's because they're mixed with a little bit of iridescent glaze. Now what I'm gonna add now to this, I'm actually gonna add a little bit of glitter glaze on top of like the little puddles that I created. I just wanted that extra shine, and I really love the glitter that hangs in there. In some of it, if you see them right now, the last ones I'm putting, it's not gonna show as nicely because you're still wet the medium, but in the ones that I've already kind of in between drying, the iridescent glaze shows really nice and brings that extra shine. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't capture that, but it looks so nice. It looks so shiny. In real life, it looks like the colors look shimmery and there's the glitter pieces sticking around. So when you look at it and the layout catches the light, it kind of shines. You can see it a little bit now. So once I have that in place, all I did is add a little bit of foam adhesive behind that string. It took me a while because it's a super thin strip, so I had to cut foam adhesive really thin to fit behind it. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit of foam adhesive behind each one of the light bulbs, and I'm gonna glue them where I added the numbers, and close enough to where the little puddles of the watercolor that I created. And then I'm gonna use the little lines that look like the little beacons of light, I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna glue them straight onto the background, and it took me some time, so I'm gonna show you a little bit of the process, and I'm gonna take it off camera and finish it. After that, all I have left is to just kind of embellish the layout and decorate it. But before I finish decorating, I realized that I need to center my layout. It's a little bit off towards the left hand side of the layout. So for that, I'm just gonna kind of cut I'm gonna say around 1/2 inch from the right hand side where the word joy is at, and also I'm gonna cut around 1/4 inch from the top and the bottom of the layout. And then to back my picture, I just use papers from the 6x8. I wanted to bring some of the teal, and I'm gonna bring the piece of the heart paper just because it has all the colors that I'm using. You're gonna see I use some foam adhesive behind the picture just to make sure that I lift it to the same height as the light bulbs. And here's where, like I said, I just to center my layout, and I think also I need to bring a different color just to make everything pop. So I cut, like I said, I trimmed the edges, the right hand side by 1/2 inch and the bottom and the top by 1/4 inch. And then I'm gonna back it with this paper, which is the one that has the watercolor black stripes. What can I remember? I think it's Sweet Honey, that's the name of the paper. And then I'm just gonna create a frame from the paper and kind of back it with this, and that's just gonna, the black and white is gonna just make everything stand out. And at the same time, I'm gonna use a lot of the decorations that I'm gonna use for this layer are actually black and white, just because I have all the colors in the background and I want to make sure that, like, you know, the picture also stands out. So I'm going to bring a lot of black and white, and everything I'm going to use, my decorations come from Vicki's Wild Honey and Flower collection. Also, like, at the end of my little packages, you're going to see that I have little scattered pieces now. I'm gonna create, I'm gonna say, a cluster of labels and word stickers and hearts at the bottom of the layer. That's just gonna bring some of the gold, I'm gonna bring some of the black, and then one of the things that I'm gonna bring is the stars, just because I want to create a little, like, starburst. And every time I think Christmas, I think stars and shine, and so I'm gonna bring that to the layout. You're gonna see, like I said, I'm gonna try to keep it very black and white when it comes to decorations. You might see a bit of color, but most of it's gonna be black, white, gold, the holographic look that the collection has. And one of the things that I think I added outside of the camera, just because it was a lot of recording, so I ran out of space, is I added some stamping. I have quite a bit of stamps right on my desk at the moment because I'm working on my December album. So I just use one of them. I think one is from Citrus Twist Kits and one is from Feed Your Craft, and just things that have to do with Christmas, and also a little black star stamp. So you're gonna see right now all I'm doing is just adding pieces to create my little clusters, and I'm adding the stars. I'm gonna add my lines to journal right underneath the word joy, in between the joy and the light bulbs, not much. And then I'm gonna say like a subtitle right on top of that cluster of ephemera or stickers that I added at the bottom of the layout. That's about it. I love how this layout turned out. It's unfortunate, like I said, that the camera doesn't capture the shine, but I love how it turns out. I love the fact that the lights are just kind of popping on, illuminating, colorfully illuminating the background. I hope you try it. Make sure you pick up the card file. I think Vicki released it yesterday, so make sure you get a copy of it. Super cool card file. I'm sure you can do a lot of things with it. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Make sure you check Vicki's giveaway. She has a lot of things given out this week. I think she has a couple more days left. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you until the end of the year. So happy Christmas to you all. May you have a blessed holiday season. Take care, guys. Bye bye.